It has been a couple of months since we started the Technology Crystal Ball. So I welcome once again everyone to the Technology Crystal Ball. It is a platform created by NAMinfo Inc. Vinay Mahajan was thinking about it for quite some time. Vinay is a veteran of the industry with almost about 40 years of experience, and is now on a mission to bring industry experts to talk about the trending technologies that will be shaping the future of industry, tackle the myths, and discuss how aspirants in both information technology and industry can gear up to the evolving needs and demands. The Technology Crystal Ball is going to run multiple episodes. Our first episode was on emerging technologies that shape the future, riding career success wave with agile transformation. We had our first guests as Mr. Prabhat Singh and Mr. Anil Algol, both experts in the space of agile transformations. We have been very successful in that webinar with quite a lot of participation, and now we have onboarded to the second episode, which is called as Artificial Intelligence and Human Brilliance, Co-Work for Better Outcomes. So I would like Mr. Vinay to take over from here and say a few words about what this whole second episode is going to be all about, and how artificial intelligence and human can work together. Vinay, over to you. Vinay, can you hear?
Thank you, Arvind, and welcome everybody. And I think Arvind has already given a brief on our, the Technology Crystal Ball series. Okay, and we have basically launched it, as I said, 3 months back. And I would like to give a little introduction about myself first, and then I think we'll talk to all the panelists to give their introduction. So I am President and CEO of NAMinfo Inc. and co-founder of our NRI. Our company is in, for 20 years, we have been in the technology and the consulting space. And we have offices in Canada, India, and US. Our NRI is our latest, program, or is a product which we are developing, and is a complete platform which will be used by the South Asian community for a lot of, basically information as well as e-commerce. Okay, so more details about that in future. Okay, but we have also been developing some products, and we have 2 patents in our name. This particular Technology Crystal Ball we launched so that we could share our, the expertise of the industry with the audience and with the lot of people actually. And I think hopefully we will be growing in terms of, the number of webinars. So far, we are doing almost 1 in quarter. We want to do many more, maybe come to once in a month kind of thing. And hopefully we'll share a lot of technologies for you in the future. Okay. And let me ask the panels to introduce themselves, and then we'll come to the main topic of the discussion. So let me request Mr. Benjamin to introduce himself, please.
Thanks, Vinay. Hi, everyone. This is Benjamin here. I'm a consulting CFO through my own company called Turnaround Consulting. And I've been involved with finance tech with Deepak for a while now, getting more into automation in day-to-day finance and accounting. And I'm based out of Vancouver here in Canada on the Western Coast. And in recent months, I've also tied up with the CFO Center in providing consulting services. And that's my core competency as a CFO. I've been doing that for about 15 years now. And I'm very passionate about business intelligence and data mining and all of that good stuff that automation can bring in a business.
Thanks, Benjamin, and welcome to the panel. Animesh, can you please give a bit of introduction?
Sure. Thanks, Vinay. Hey, Benjamin. And thanks, Arvind, again for this opportunity. I hope I can be of some contribution here tonight. So yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm Animesh. I'm the CEO at Light Information Systems. Our product, E42, is a process automation platform. It's a cognitive process automation platform. I work out of India in Pune. My team sits out of here. We've got partners in the US and the Middle East, and now we're expanding into other regions as well. So yeah, I'm passionate about sports. I'm a swimmer. I love to trek. In fact, in a few hours, I'll be heading out for one. I love to read, and I'm passionate about humans, building bridges rather than barriers. So I'm also on the board of Adventures Beyond Barriers, which is a NGO, non-government organization, for the benefit of working with handicapped people or persons with disability, and helping them find their way in the world. So yeah, that's about me. Thanks.
Thank you, Anish. Thanks to know about that you are so much of passion, to.
Thank you.
And now over to Deepak. Deepak, will you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Aloysius Deepak. I'm in charge of revenue generation at Finance Tech Unlimited. So we work in the area of a couple of areas. One of them is accounting automation. We have teams here that do the complete accounts payable, accounts receivable process up to reconciliation. The interesting thing here is that our teams consist of both humans and bots. As Benjamin said, we also do a lot of CFO consulting. We develop dashboards using Power BI and Tableau. So personally, I have more than around 20-25 years of experience, in business development across manufacturing, across event management, and IT across various geographies. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Looking forward to an exciting discussion.
Thank you, Deepak. So I think, is there anyone else, Arvind, to be introduced for the panel? You are mute.
No, Vinay, we are
good, right?
having everybody live.
Okay.
If you want the poll to be made.
Yeah. So let me start the session now. Okay, you can probably bring in the slides once I tell you. Okay. So now the basically one of the question which I think I want to throw to the audience today is, and which I have also put up in the social media, and that the big question: are bots going to replace humans, right? Or are bots going to take away our jobs, right? So I think this is probably one question which people keep on asking, and it's a very hot question, a hot button topic rather, I'll say, in the industry. And one of the reason why we are putting this session today is that we wanted to take a case study, and particularly that's why you see some of the finance experts like Benjamin and Deepak over here, right? Who will probably take the case study of finance sector or the domain, and then we will try to see how the bots and the humans are going to rather work together and not that going to replace each other. I will not answer that question right now, but yeah, I mean, that is our goal, how to really come to that kind of a conclusion that we are going to work together and not replace each other. And Animesh is the one who is, of course, the technology provider. So he'll be taking a shot from the angle of that in addition to the finance. So what are the other areas where we are going to be, having this, the bots playing the roles, where they are more successful, where they are probably a little less successful, and how we will coexist with each other. What are the opportunities for, various, career opportunities in this particular field, right? So we'll touch all those subjects. So we also did one thing was we did one survey, just to get a feel from the market or from the people in the market, right? Okay, and so this LinkedIn survey was done actually, and we got some feedback about in what industries people see bots are going to play the role. So you see that people have given feedback, and based on that, you can see that, at human resource, supply chain management, sales, risk management, and marketing, beside finance, of course, right? Finance is something where, a lot of things are getting automated, and, and that's where we will be discussing in a little more details. But these are some of the other fields where there seems to be some focus areas. So next slide, please, Arvind.
Yes.
And, what are the areas where, basically the automation has been very successful, okay, in terms of, basically, or what are the critical parts, right? What are the critical important parts over here, right? Okay, that, the bots, the success will depend on, and that is that end user should be able to buy in, okay, then it should fit to the existing process. That is very critical, rather, right? Okay, and also of course, the UI, USX to be very good, and implementation is another challenge, right? Okay, how you're going to implement it, right? Because bringing in automation to any process which is already set is easier than done, right? So, now, I mean, we have some more slides from the survey, but we'll pick up those slides at the time when we are doing some more detailed discussion on the finance part, right? So let me start the discussion, which is basically related with our case study, and that is, as I said, we are talking about the finance, and as a case study, and one of the most critical factor for any organization is the cash flow, right? If you have a good cash flow, the organization is really healthy, and it is going to really grow, right? But if your cash flow is tight, even if you have great products, and if you have whatever you may have, if cash flow is tight, it is always a struggle, right? And I think my first question to Benjamin is how that bots are going to help in terms of two very important parts of cash flow, and that is the account receivables and the account payable.
Yeah, thanks, Vinay. Before I can answer that question, I'd like to provide a bit of a background into that accounting and finance scenario in most modern organizations and the role of the CFO. In the past, the CFO was responsible for the traditional stuff like crunching numbers, preparing the financial statements, safeguarding corporate assets, and typical cash management. However, over the last couple of decades, that role has changed considerably. Now the CFO stands shoulder to shoulder with the CEO in implementing strategy, growth and expansion, business intelligence, and process improvements. And I'm a big fan of BI, as I said before, because I firmly believe you cannot manage what you cannot measure. Therefore, when it comes to measuring, we get into data mining, and with data mining comes the challenges of AP and AR as they form the key data sets of the business's transactions in totality. And in most companies, what happens is with master data, such as a customer card or a vendor card, those are not entered in its entirety. A sales guy is typically interested in getting a quote and an invoice out to his customer. And so he provides the basic minimum data points that are required, but that is not complete for data mining and building dashboards. The same thing with AP. The MasterCard is not entered in its entirety, and there's only few fields that are left. So when someone like me gets in and wants to build dashboards and meaningful report, I find there are a lot of these gaps in the basic underlying data. And when I look into it, there's so much inefficiency using AP as an example. In the traditional manual way that AP is processed in most organizations, the evils of slow processing, lack of matching of errors, manual follow-ups, lack of exception handling, unauthorized purchases, the embarrassment of sending payment before delivery, or the embarrassment of sending double payments to a vendor, or the mysterious case of the disappearing invoice that we never seem to find in our records. And worst of all is the amount of paper it generates, and then the real estate that is required to store all of that for a number of years. And all of these evils can be avoided by automation. Having a bot to do all of these routine transactions in a timely and accurate manner will bring so much of efficiencies into this entire process And people like controllers, directors of finance, CFOs can spend most of their time working on the business instead of working in the business. The same applies to AR, the same applies to bank recs. Without automation, people spend a lot of time manually reconciling these things when it can be done within a fraction of minutes by automating it and introducing a bot. So I feel there is a huge synergy there between technology and the traditional ways of doing AP or AR, and bringing these bots in definitely is the right way to improve the efficiencies within an organization. I hope
That's
that
very
kind of
interesting.
answered your question.
Yeah. And I think I have now two subsequent question, or rather little more deeper question. I'll take two scenarios rather. One is, do you think the bots will help in, nowadays a lot of fraud happens. You would have seen people, saying, okay, we have changed our bank account, right? Okay. And, they basically, this is our new information. And then that may be a phishing email coming from somewhere. And you change the bank information and the money is being transferred to some other vendor instead of going to the correct vendor, right? So do you think the bots can help a bit on the fraud side? And second question, which probably you can also take up, is, do you think the bots will be able to stop some leakages? That means you missed an invoice, right? Okay. Or you missed normally I'll be very worried if my organization, now manual process, we end up missing an invoice for a particular week, right? Okay. And nobody noticed it. So you lose $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, you don't know, right? Okay. So those kind of things, right? A particular item invoice being missed. So do you think bots can help us over there, right?
Yeah, certainly. To answer your first question, sorry, can you just repeat your first question so I answer it correctly?
First question was regarding the fraud happening in the industry today, right? Okay. So
Right.
do you get phishing emails where, it will come as a message that, okay, our account has changed. This is our new account numbers and all that. So please send the information to the new account, right?
Right.
Okay.
So,
sorry, new payment to the new account. And it is actually a fraud account basically, right?
correct. I get that all the time. In my career as a CFO over the years, I've seen these kinds of phishing emails come through all the time. People never stop trying to scam you. I've had instances where the second approver along with me is being posted by some third party from some other country. And they say, hey, I'm here and I need to make this payment urgently. Can you do the approval? And all I need to do is just look at the email, although it kind of uses the company's header in the email. When you click on it, you know it is not from the person that you're expecting it to. But you have to be vigilant all the time to be able to get around these scamsters. You let your guard down once and then you fall for it. And there are lots of scary stories out there where these things have happened. And bringing in a bot and automating that process just takes away all this, because a computer code through the bot has no emotion. It cannot be full. It is going to look at certain parameters. And if it doesn't fit into that, it's just simply going to reject it. Unlike a human where there's an emotion involved, depends on how your day's been going, how busy you are. You may not have your guard up all the time. But the beauty of a bot doing that, it lacks emotion. It just follows a code. And if your parameters are set right, your workflow is set correctly, then the chances of these kinds of issues happening are very, very slim. Of course, the hackers can get in and alter your code and do that, but that's like the extreme case. But in most cases, by just automating these through proper workflows and bots, all these kinds of fraudulent activities can definitely be stopped. For sure.
Yeah, that's an excellent answer. I think the emotion part is removed, right, by the bot, right, from the bot, right? So that's an excellent answer, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So let me switch over to Mr. Animesh, right? Okay. Because that is an interesting question for him now. So, do you think bots will be not emotional? Let me put that question, right? Okay. Right. Because I'm thinking now they are coming with they had, kind of a, what they say is, they talk about nowadays AI, then they talk about the machine learning, deep learning, and they are now talking about also, the bot will learn like a child actually, right? Okay. So, So do you think they will learn emotions also? That's my question, rather.
Vinay, you have touched upon a very emotional question as it is. I mean, that discussion can go on. I mean, worldwide, there are a lot of discussions. So emotion in a scientific term would come, little more in the category of consciousness, right? So, where we have to feel something and therefore being doing something, right? So we feel that we are human, we are conscious of us being human, and therefore we're doing something. So so not and just to correct you, it's not that they talk about. We actually work in the area of AI, and we actually work in the area where machines are learning. And as we are speaking, there are thousands of transactions that are happening. From which the machines are learning, and the learning is pretty fast. I can assure you that, right? So, and pretty much our AI models and everything is pretty much wired like the brain itself. So we have the convolutional neural networks, which are actually pretty much modeled on the human learning itself. And that was what we started our journey. We are back in 2012 with exactly this thought that when humans became intelligent, humans could do all the things that that other animals could do. But it was when we started becoming intelligent, and that point when we started really rising up in the food chain, and in a matter of few thousand years, in a 2 million-year-old species, in about less than 7,000 years, we rose directly to the top of the food chain. And one of the biggest contributors to that was language. So that was where our research started. And we figured that if machines can be taught language, then the machines will also evolve much faster and learn much faster. So those were some early bets that we took, and we were at the Valley for certain events, the Pioneers Summit, and quite a few this where I presented a paper on how on exactly what you said, right? On a new type of cognitive entity that is rather that is going to be relevant, which is going to be which is already happening. Like if you go to Hindalco, which is one of the large aluminum manufacturers in India, they're one of our clients. So the bots will just recognize you. If you're carrying a challan or any of those delivery goods, it will read that and it will send you to the right warehouse for you to deposit stuff. Without any prior learning. So it would just read your document, and based on its own cognition, it figure out what that's talking about. It will check with the accounts department if you actually ordered for this stuff, and then it will recognize the face. And if it doesn't, it will ask for some government identification, and then recognize the face, and do all of that thing, which typically needed a gate was manned by about 7 to 8 people, in 3 shifts. Now they're able to do it with 3 people, much more efficiently. And like Benjamin just said, right? So working on the business, rather than in the business, right? So yeah, so now they can,
Let me ask you then, when Mr. Benjamin came to you that he needs some solution, so how did you help him, right? Okay.
So how we help is rather, I mean, yeah, like Benjamin and Deepak, we just gave them the platform. That was an intelligent platform. We are just, pure techies, as you can see. I mean, we don't we don't know any subject. We're not subject matter experts.
No, but still, you would have told him, oh, yes, probably I could, our bots or our, the platform could probably solve some of the challenges you are facing, right?
No, definitely. We said it could solve. We said, yeah, it could probably solve, but it was up to Deepak to take it and then use it and then make it work, right? So I think
it was actually it was actually a happy.
Deepak, please
it was happy.
Go ahead. How did you use Animesh technology and help Mr. Benjamin, right? Okay.
No, it was actually a happy confluence of circumstances. I was actually working with Animesh at that point of time to automate certain HR functions. So apart from finance tech, we also have marketing tech, HR tech, and we are working on mental health, something called listening post rather. So I was working with Animesh to automate certain HR processes. Benjamin at that point of time approached me with certain outsourcing opportunities, saying that we need a team back here to do certain accounting processes. So it was I very early realized that most of this is repetitive tasks. It's a voluminous task, but it could be automated very easily. So it was just a matter of me going to Animesh and saying, look, this is the logic that is there, and this is what needs to be done. So we worked with this team. We developed a specific bot called Plutus for accounts payable, We developed a bot called Moneta for accounts receivable. And, I sort of combined them with my existing team, and, everybody's happy. So my team is happy because less work, less repetitive work. They're able to come up with creative strategic ideas, about how to save certain money by making certain payments early or by simplifying certain processes. So as Animesh is saying, Benjamin and me, we provide the case study, the scenario. Animesh has a platform. So it's going and telling him that this is what needs to be done. And the team works together to get it done. That's all. But that's how it happens.
So that's very interesting, right? Okay, and so ARAP, I think looks like Mr. Benjamin, you got some solution, from Mr. Deepak and Animesh together, right? Okay. Now coming to another very important factor of the finance. Rather, I'll put two things together itself. Rather, one is that vendors are very critical, right? Okay. So do you think that use of bot help you get some vendor KPI developed? How to measure their kind of performance, and did that help also? And second question will be, you said CFO will be free to do so many jobs, right? Okay, other than basically probably going through the documents and trying to figure out what payment is going to come, what is not coming, and all that, right? Okay, or what has been missed, right? So do you think even the visualization, of course there are a lot of visualization tool nowadays, but did bot help also from that angle, that the things could be really basically be visualized much better by the CFO, right?
Right. To answer your first question, did vendor metrics improve using the bots? Most certainly, yes, because now with a proper vendor onboarding, a vendor account is created with all of the parameters that are needed for data mining at a later stage. None of those critical fields are missed, and it is not prone to human errors. The vendors are required to key in X amount of information based on our ERP settings. So all that is automated, which means there's very less errors and missing fields in the vendor master. And then that becomes very useful to build all of the other stuff on top of that in terms of building a dashboard for vendors or all the KPI that go with it. So using bots has certainly helped by just eliminating the slowness in the process and also all the human errors that come with it.
Yeah,
and these are routine tasks that humans don't have to do. Sorry, Deepak?
No, I think, Benjamin, what you've also done here, we need to update you on that. So I think one of the critical problems was the vendors or the company people not entering the data, because it was too tedious for them to enter. So what we've done is, for example, you upload a check. So the bot is able to pick up data from the check and give you a preview, and then you approve or disapprove. So even that process, we have gone, one step further to, make that data entry so much more easier. So there's no chance of, missing any field as such. Yeah, so continue.
Yeah, and to answer your second question, whether the CFO is free to do the other roles, now just imagine my scenario. I go into consult with a new company, and obviously they need dashboards and metrics and all of the good stuff to make timely decisions. And if I start building it either myself or using an IT company to do it, we don't have to worry about all these building blocks that are usually very incomplete and inconsistent. Having these bots to do it, you can safely assume that all of your underlying data is intact in its entirety, and you can start building right away without having to spend months cleaning up all of this basic data. And it brings in so much efficiencies to do that. And then you're free to use all your time and energy in doing the things that you should be doing and not worried about these routine tasks that should have been done right in the first place to begin with. So to answer your question, yes, I think using bots to at least clean up all these routine tasks and not have humans do them is definitely a right step in the right direction.
Okay, thank you. And Animesh, I wanted to come to you regarding, basically, I did raise this question earlier also in the beginning, that, bots are, successful somewhere and not successful somewhere, right? So, just give a preview of, where things are little successful right now and where there are still a lot of challenges with the bot, right? Okay. And where we are still trying to learn that how to improve the, efficiency in terms of the results, right? Okay, finally the results matter, right? Okay, so what do you think?
Great, thanks, Vinay. So I think I've just shared a slide. I hope you can see it.
Yeah, sure.
We can see that.
So yeah, so these are some of the areas we are finding huge traction for the bots. So like I said, so the bots are these cognitive agents that are basically built on our platform by subject matter experts like Deepak. And we have various partners ranging from the Microsofts, IBMs of the world to IT departments within companies like Mahindra and Mahindra, etc. So they've used this to create a ton of bots, and quite a few of them do things like KYC, video KYC. So there are AI analysts with companies like Tata Communications, etc. use which help the human analyst analyze much more data and are able to come out with much more insightful details, right, on our process or on their prospects. Similarly, AI, like just what we spoke about, the finance executives, so I won't cover much of that, but there are AI receptionists, AI gatekeepers, AI HR executives, which, we're working on several large conglomerates in India and abroad and the Middle East and the US as well. AI learning managers, we've also tied up with iLearning Engines, which is one of the fastest growing companies of the Deloitte region. By Deloitte in the US. So we a lot of products use our technology and deploy various kinds of these cognitive agents across the industry, right? And actually, if I may, Sundar, could you just in that same line, let me address what your survey results had shown, right? What are the main challenges in the adoption, I think, or the success factors, right? Why are the bots really successful? I think. Could you share the screen, Arvind?
Yeah.
So on while he's doing that, Vinay, also I wanted to address another point you had said earlier. Cash flows, are everything in the company. For a startup, it's like we're always negative cash flows. So I just wanted to. I thought of it that time, but then it slipped my mind. Yeah, but yeah, if you see, no, not this one, the other one, I think the previous one, yeah.
This one?
Yeah. So what are the most important to the success for automation, right? So if you take any of the use cases, in fact, I'll touch upon, Vinay, some of the use cases that you mentioned earlier. I think one was fraud, one was data missing, right? So if you take any of these things and if you compare it with this and any of the solution that we're doing, right in the space. So let's say fraud detection. Of course, today there are very intelligent ways to work around the fraud business, but and to finding out of fraud. But then what the AI does is it trains on all of those learnings, and it's able to detect fraud in ways that humans cannot, right? Because to detect fraud, you need to see a pattern emerge. You need to know what's happening everywhere. Fraudsters will do something somewhere else and then go somewhere else. To figure out that pattern for separate human brains sitting in different parts of the world or different parts of a city for that matter, it's going to be very difficult for them to see a pattern. But with AI, it can really learn from the data. It can convert that into information. It can convert that information into knowledge, and then it can take action. And based off all of that, it can bring insight, which is very difficult for humans individually or as a group. So that's the biggest thing that AI brings to the table. And if you see in any of these parameters, so if you take the use case of fraud detection, if you can build that on our platform, or people have built it also, they see that the end user buy-in is very fast, because everyone, any dollar it saves, is huge, and the cost for such an implementation is not that high. Fitment to existing process, so obviously fraud detection is key process in that. When you bring in intelligence, there's no problem. Implementation, a platform like ours, we've gone live in implementations in less than 3 hours as well, right? So implementation time is again not a hurdle. And then it comes to UI UX, right? So we are talking about a UI UX, about a kind of a user experience where you can literally chat with machines, right? So there's nothing beyond that. So even if it is, even if the colors and the screens and all of those things are not there, the newest UI UX or user experience in the sense is actually conversational, right? Which is what we're pretty good at. So I think, yeah, that's what, does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it really explains. I think you gave a very good example on the fraud, that, basically, and the user will certainly buy it, right? Okay, because he can sleep, well, right? Okay, right. I am worried today, every time, that money is sitting in the bank, and it should not happen that, it goes to some wrong vendor, right? Okay.
Lucky you,
Of
lucky
course,
you.
we are not a startup. We are not a startup. So,
we don't have that worry, at least.
yeah. But we have the other worry, right? Okay, that the money should not go to the wrong person, right? Okay, right.
True,
So,
true. Yeah.
so that is something which is a challenge. Okay, thank you very much. So very interesting, I think, perspective. Before I move to Deepak, I wanted to ask you one question. I think I don't want to miss that. Otherwise, I'll forget. What do you mean by E42?
Yeah, so we were, so if our formerly our brand was called NLP Bots, and that was we were one of the first forerunners when it comes to natural language processing algorithms. We were way back in 2012 when NLP was called neuro linguistic programming. So we had to educate the world on natural language processing, and then we had created our brand called NLP Bots. Then what happened was, with the influx of AI and a lot of companies coming in, they started bringing out, chatbots became a trend, right? And then every chatbot started calling themselves NLP bots, or that we are on this. So we thought, since we are a cognitive process automation, of course, we also do chatbots, but we thought that the name should speak something bigger. So there is, so the E42 story emerges from that. We needed a new brand identity, and we wanted to, so the whole concept, so if you type on Google, the ultimate answer to life, the universe and everything, you will get a Google calculator opening up with the answer 42 written on that. So all of you can try that out. So it's you type in the answer to the ultimate answer to, or the answer to life, the universe and everything, right? If you type in those words, that's what you'll get. But there's also, yeah, but apart from that, so it's, so in that sense, and then, it's a book by Douglas Adams. It talks about the first, AI computer way back in 1942, where it said that the answer to everything is 42. And in that book, the whole concept is that Earth is a simulation made to validate the question to that answer. So
okay.
A little bit of a geeky book, though.
Yeah, but it's very good geeky answer, rather. Okay.
Thanks,
so Deepak, I'm going to ask you a question, and it's basically regarding, of course, that you basically, what was your passion to basically start this, the FTU, the finance and tech combination, right? I'll say. Right?
Yeah.
Finance and tech combination. But second thing is, there's an audience question which also I want you to address, right? Okay. So they are saying there is a lot of labor shortage. This question is from, let me read the name also. And, it is from Lakbir Johal, right? He says, in British Columbia, there is a major labor shortage in many different types of businesses, right? Okay. How would AI be able to help support businesses during these times? So now he's talking about, does AI help the labor shortage? So we didn't address the question in the beginning, right? Okay, and that is true. There's a tremendous amount of labor shortage in some areas, right? Okay.
No, absolutely.
So please try to address these two things together. Why did you start finance tech, and how do you think that is going to help remove the labor shortage, right?
No, for me, the passion was always using technology to enable job functions to become easier. Be it finance, be it marketing, be it HR, whatever. There was a lot of repetitive processes, which I think was not necessarily that, to be done by humans. I think we need to upskill, upgrade ourselves to move forward. So the whole passion was always how I can use technology to make life easier, working life easier from my perspective. So I had financial experts like Benjamin on one side who are friends. I had people like Animesh, who are passionate about technology. All I had to do was bring them together, and it's been a fun journey since, just getting to learn about new scenarios where we can apply technology and get things done easier. So this, I guess, is another scenario, where there is labor shortage. It's definitely a area which bots can help. all we need to know is what is your process. All we need to know is, what are the rules or what is the framework within which we need to operate. And, bots can do the job of humans, I mean, at least repetitive jobs, or we start with repetitive jobs and then we become cognitive enough to get to a better place. I think Animesh can answer a little bit better on that, but
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think there are two types of, thanks, Deepak. And if I may, Vinay, I'd like to take a shot at that answer as well. So yeah, definitely. I mean, that's exactly where the cognitive ability of the bots come in. I think, Lagbir, yeah, to answer your question, already I answered, I think, in some form, where I told you the example where, gatekeepers or watchmen,
Yeah,
the whole
you gave a
requirement
lot of
has
examples, rather. All the like
yeah,
receptionists and this gatekeeper
yeah,
and all that. So they are
absolutely.
all basically removing some typical shortages, right? Okay. Very
Yes,
interesting.
those shortages will go up, and those are anyway, like Deepak I also said, they were very boring jobs anyway in the first place, right? So there's a whole new. I mean, they all need to upskill themselves, and I think it's also a very good opportunity for humans to be doing things that we love, and the bots can enable the repetitive daily tasks, and there are a lot of functions. I think Deepak, also could give you access to our platform where you could see how you can, bring him the solution and, problem, and he'll find the solution, get AI
Correct.
to do it for
For
you.
example, accounts payable was all that. It was, there was a copy paste which was happening. And then we said, why do you need to copy paste? We can get the bot to do that. So it depends on what form of labor shortage you're looking at. If it's in the office floor, then you would need a robo. You would not need a bot. But if it's an account payable function, we can have a bot. Or an HR executive or a personal assistant. It all depends on, what the framework of the question is.
I think Arvind Sundar has got a question from audience from somewhere, maybe Facebook.
Yeah,
so the question is rather, sorry, Benjamin, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, before we just move on, I just wanted to answer Lakbir because I personally know Lakbir right here. She plays a very important role at one of the largest banks here in Canada, the Royal Bank of Canada. And I know her personally for many years, and I'm very pleased to see that Lakbir has joined the webinar here today. So Lagbir, to answer your question, what I've done is anytime I'm looking at a business process and I find that this is a set of routine tasks that a bot can do that can be automated, then that is a perfect case for animation, Deepak, to go and build out the framework. All you need to do is identify those areas where you find labor shortages. It could be in accounting, it could be in HR, it could be in any aspects of the bank. All you need to do is identify that, define the process, and let us know what exactly you need done. And then you can get it done through these bots. And these bots, like I said, the huge cost savings as well that we haven't touched upon, because the bot doesn't need a vacation pay, it doesn't need health insurance, it doesn't need any of that. So employing a bot versus a human person, the costs are dramatically lower. So there's long-term cost benefits as well, in addition to improvement in processes and efficiencies all around. And I'm happy to take this offline with you at some point if there are some urgent needs that you have at the bank. I'm happy to talk to you and then bring Deepak and Animation to the fold and see what we can do for our VC in these areas.
Thank you, Benjamin. But there's a question, I think, Animesh, maybe you have to answer this. What is the difference between robotic bot and cognitive bot? Okay, so maybe you can answer this, and then we can move to some career-related questions, right? Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that's a very good question. Thank you. So I think the answer, there's a huge world of difference, right? So the robotic bots are doing one action repeatedly, it's also called RPA. So there are companies like UiPath, Automation Anywhere that do that. So if you want to do an action repeatedly, one after the other, pick some data from one place and put it into the other, and there is no intelligence or learning required as you go along, then that's when you need a robotic bot. But in a cognitive bot, where a decision has to be made mid-flow, right, in between the process, it might be switching a process, it might be stopping a process, it might be restarting a process, any of those things where a decision is involved and the bot bases that decision, which is not programmed. It should be a decision that was cognitively generated, and by doing that, it's able to maybe take the shorten the time to closure, or shorten the process, or any of those things, and bring better changes in that. So those are the times when you need a cognitive bot. And any of
Very
these
good.
examples, if you think, if you think they're small, just to let a person through a gate, there are a lot of many processes involved in that, and there are many decisions there. And it's very surprising to learn that when I went, and I don't actually work much on the use cases, but then when I did go in and see some of those, I never knew that, people, gatekeeper makes so many decisions, right?
But I think just to maybe an example could be like if in Amazon, basically warehouses, they have a kind of a robotic bots which are lifting one packet and putting it at one place. That's a robotic bot. But a fraud detection could be naturally a cognitive bot, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
you nailed
so
it.
these are the kind of probably examples.
Yeah.
So Benjamin, let's
Yep.
go to the career, because we have just 15 minutes left, rather, or 12 minutes left, I think. And I think
Okay.
I will ask all of you one by one. First question to you is, so what are the, jobs in the, basically which you think will be lost to the bots, and what are the jobs which will be created, and what are the jobs which are going to coexist, right? All three questions, right? In one, rolled into one, right? Okay, right?
Mhm.
So what do you think is going to be lost, and what is going to be, gained in terms of new jobs created, and what do you think are going to coexist, right?
Right. So in my world of finance and accounting, I think bringing in automation is definitely going to bring in some kind of job losses, like it happened back when all of this started, right? Using the ATMs as an example, the traditional bank teller is no more in demand as they were before, because now ATMs tend to do most of that. But what happened to the teller? The teller eventually got absorbed laterally within the bank. They upgraded their skills and moved on to higher positions, or they left the industry and went to work for the other industry that started building these ATM machines. So there's always these upstream and downstream opportunities that arise. So it could mean loss in one sector, but it gains in the other sector. So looking at typically accounts payable and accounts receivable, if you bring these bots in, obviously the companies here wouldn't need to hire an accounts payable person or an accounts receivable person. So those jobs I see over the next 10, 15 years, as these bots become more and more popular, those roles in traditional accounting are going to become almost extinct. No one would be hiring the AP specialists or AR specialists anymore. However, I do think there's a little bit of distinction between AP and AR, because AP is typically not so like in AR, it's customer facing. There's somebody that needs to talk. In AP, it's not so much. It's routine stuff that you got to enter and send statements out to vendors. There's not a lot of times when a human is talking to another human, maybe when a payment is delayed. But then the bot can do all of that. It can do notifications. But in the case of AR, I think that human element, some companies may want somebody in their accounts receivable to be able to talk to their customers and follow up and stuff. So that role might continue for a little longer, but I see AP completely being taken over by these bots if and when people accept those bots and start implementing them in their organizations. But then all of these people, they will be upgrading their skills. They'll probably become data analysts or financial analysts within a company. Like I know a couple of my clients where the AP person, when I really sit down and talk to them, they say they're so bored to death by doing this day-to-day routine, mundane AP entry. They want to take on higher roles within the accounting department. They want to eventually become a controller and go on up in their career. So if we provide that opportunity by taking away these routine functions and help improving their skills and teaching them other stuff, they will get absorbed and they will move on into those newer roles. And answering your last question, like, do they coexist? I use the example of AR, where I think there would be some kind of coexistence into the long-term future, unless like Animesh comes up with these cognitive bots that can actually start talking like human beings, then maybe that role will diminish as well in the future.
That's really interesting. And I agree with you that one door will close, but a new door will open, and there maybe you not only get a you may get a better pay also, because your capabilities or your kind of role improves, and you can move up the chain in terms of value chain, right? Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So let me ask now little from Animesh, right, regarding the some opportunities, career opportunities in technology area. So we do talk about data science, AI, machine learning, deep learning. Okay, so you think right now they are becoming mainstream technologies, and you think there are going to be a lot of opportunities in these areas now? And where do you think people should be looking at developing their careers into? Right? Can you give some guidance on that?
Sure, Vinay. And I think I'll take that also and the previous one, which Benjamin covered most of it. But I think
Okay.
in the light of it, it's going to be the same answer. So the careers, I think the world today is changing so fast. So I think the careers, I don't think there will be this word also careers for much longer. The whole concept is going to be what is it that you do, right? So, and the answer is going to be typically, I mean, I'm talking 10 to 15 or maybe even 50 years, but very soon in terms of our history, but very soon a time is going to come when we are all going to get the opportunity to do, what we love. So like Benjamin said, each role he said, so it's going to change, but I think it's going to just move up the value chain, right? So the gatekeeper job, for example, is not going to go, or the fact that you have to greet visitors, as a job is not going to go, but you might not do it as humans. You might, a single receptionist, human receptionist, might be at the same time in 50 places, right? Because the rest of it, the normal activities are carried on by a bot, but a really smart, cool human might be required when it escalates, or might be required to set up such a system, right? So there are a lot of so-called career opportunities, but I would rather stick with there are so many opportunities that the future generations have, or I mean the not future generations, I mean the generation X and Y also. I mean where where they can do what they love, and and like you said, definitely they will be paid more, and if not for anything else, to make sure that they're not stealing too much from others, because a really educated, smart person out there without money is going to be a problem for society, right? So definitely there are going to be new kinds of economies, and there's so any job, people, if they do whatever they do, if as long as I think they love to do it, it's going to be good. Now when it comes to typically AI scientists, I think I don't think that's going to be a very big role, because what does AI finally, an AI is basically a machine getting its own intelligence, right? So it just needs data. The input for any true blue AI system is data. So I think rather than focusing on those kind of degrees or post graduations or whatever, the it might be better as career advice if people learn functions, and they learn which function they love to do, and then they can contribute to that. They can use AI, they can deploy these AI and solve tons of problems that that the world faces today, right from messy traffic signals, traffic jams, to global
So very
warming,
interesting
climate
point.
change.
You
Yeah.
are saying application of AI has
Yes.
much more opportunities as
Yes.
compared to the development of AI tools, and
Yeah.
basically, like, of course, related to the using some basic languages and developing some tools. Instead of that, if you are going to use the currently available platforms and develop the applications, so
Find
that will
problems.
be,
Yeah.
that is very
Find
good, very good.
problems.
So
Yes.
very good. So let me ask that question now from Deepak. So Deepak, where are the opportunities for AI applications, right? Okay. So I'm sure because you are also doing one of the application of the AI, right? Okay. So where do you think, beside finance, or maybe even in finance, and what are the other areas where you think lot of application help development will happen using the AI, right? What do you think?
No, I think it's what Animesh was talking about and the slide that he showed earlier. The application of AI, ML is all across, finance, HR, sales, you name it.
Mhm.
Any job function that is there, the application of AI and ML is there. And I kind of agree with both of them in that, jobs are not going to be replaced. It is just an opportunity for upskill. Even my own organization, when we implemented the bots, there was no loss of any job. just that all my employees were able to upgrade themselves to the next level. So that's what I think.
Okay.
It's all across, opportunities all across.
So
You just need to find your passion, and yeah.
There's a question that where is AI being applied in the HR space, right? So give some examples, right? Okay, if you can.
HR space, I think right from your onboarding, bots are used for, even before onboarding, bots are actually being used for at the level of interviewing, at the level of shortlisting, at the level of candidate onboarding. It's also used for learning journeys. So when I join an organization, the bot or the learning system can actually set a path for me. If I join as a trainee and I want to retire as a CEO, what is the journey I need to take at every step? What is the learning that I need to do at every step? Bots are helping with that, with the learner journey. Bots are helping in performance appraisal. Even as simple as doing your claims and reimbursement. Anything else I'm missing, Animesh?
No, I think you nailed it. HR pretty much. We see it's for the first time with a cognitive platform, you're able to keep the employee at the center, and you're able to connect all the systems that the employee is connected to, from his payroll or her learning management system or IT support or onboarding, separation, all of those things. You can keep the employee at the center, and you can, right from recruitment till post separation. You can keep your employees.
Me and Animesh, we started talking initially, the dream that we had was a bot will start as your personal assistant. You get up in the morning, it says, "Good morning, Vinay. This is what your schedule looks like. This is what the weather is. This is how we need to be prepared." As an HR, as an employee of that company, to tell you what the HR policies are, how many leaves you have in balance, and so on and so forth. But the moment you get into your functional role, it will guide you on your functional role. So for Benjamin, it will give all reports about, his as a CFO, it will help him do his CFO functions, including accounts payable, receivable, reconciliation, so on and so forth. For Arvind as a marketing person, it will, help him with the marketing functions. So there is this one bot which just becomes different cognitive agents. That's what we are calling them, right?
Yes.
That's very good. And, I think Animesh's point was also very important that, you learn the field actually, right? Have experience in the field. If you become an expert in field, then I'm sure you will be able to use the, the various platform available to develop the application. Because understanding of the field is very critical, because finally, need to know how to use the tool to make the application work, right? Okay.
Exactly.
That's important. Lakbir has said, I think another question he has raised, Lakbir Johal. I think maybe this is the last question we take. What would you recommend in regards to education to our youth? Programs in universities, colleges, trade schools, or getting into the workplace and then learning within the workspace. What type of education lines would be most beneficial? Mr. Benjamin, you want to address this?
I think that would be better answered by Animesh, I think.
Okay, Animesh, all yours. Okay.
That's putting me on the spot. Smart, Benjamin.
You are 42.
No,
Animesh, you are E42. You have all the answers.
So definitely. I mean, that's a very interesting question, Lakbir. And there's a lot of study today. In fact, Google says that we don't need a college degree to get into Google at the same pay scale as any engineer, right? So what Google looks, and even what we look when we hire, we look at just aptitude and their love for what they're doing. Because in our business, especially when you're doing a new kind of a product, and I think those are going to be the companies of the future. There'll be very less space for really large company unless you're making something really material. But most of this, there will be a lot of startup ecosystem because it's basically we are free labor for Google and Microsoft to sell their cloud, right? But apart from that, so there's a lot of problems, and there's a lot of money going to be made in solving those problems, and I think it's passion that is going to drive that. So so college degrees or those kind of things might be a little out. It might be whatever you love. So if you like football, there will be a lot of money in it. As a footballer, as a trainer, as a a football analyst, as a team selector and, a lot of stuff there. Because, or in any kind of business, in any kind of field, from the arts to, because arts also will get a lot of value because, we are talking about an era where there will be, more of luxurious prosperity, because of, a lot of people being comfortable. Today, when it comes to production, the companies are at full capacity, and everybody is wanting to produce more, right? So there will be only that much that we can consume as a planet, right? So, when those things improve and we are all living in a nice, prosperous world, everything, when people do what they love, with everything is going, it's good. That's going to count. So if you like programming, you could do that. If you like, architecture, you could do that, and you could switch, 16 years down the line, because it'll be very easy to learn anything else anytime. So, and with now the likes of Udemy and all these online amazing universities that are there online, you can pick up a really small course, a small topic, and work deep into that, and solve some problems out there. So I think it's a new exciting world, and yeah, so it's going to and the youth today have millions of opportunities, right from driving fantastic cars and going on, being an Uber driver, all the way to becoming CEO of your own company. Depending on which you like, you can really like and enjoy doing.
Yeah, that's true. You are right. Just to give you an example, in US, last 6 months rather, okay, after the pandemic has been over, right? Okay, the number of startups which have been started, okay, it has not been started in that high rate at all, rather in the past many years rather. So because people are really venturing out right now, they feel they can try their passion out, they can try their ideas out, because world is becoming smaller, global, and second thing, the tools are available. So I think you guys are providing the tools, like Animesh is providing the tool, and even Deepak is providing the tool or the application, ready-made application. All you need is a passionate guy who wants to implement that application, right? Okay.
Yeah,
and
they could,
maybe
sell the application. They could use that application to build another application. I mean, there are thousands of things, and Google, all of them give a lot of free cloud to startups. So there's a lot. I mean, we got, I think, more than $250,000 from just Microsoft, right?
Very good, excellent.
It's a lot of money that that startups have at their access. That was never thought of before. And for like really GPUs or really high tech, GPU servers and everything, from NVIDIA and stuff like that. So I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, a lot of exciting fields right now. So I think thank you very much, panel. I think we had a very good discussion and very interesting answers. And I'm sure I think we may have a follow-up session in future. So Arvind, you like to say something for the close and maybe vote of thanks?
Yes, I would like to quickly say that when Animesh said keeping employees at the middle of everything, it resonated very well with my marketing principles of keeping the customer at the center of all my marketing activities. And that actually sums up the entire conversation of how AI is going to evolve in the future. We'll be looking forward to a lot more wonderful interactions similar to this thing and covering in the near future. So, I would like to thank Benjamin, Animesh, and Deepak for joining for this session and sharing a lot of valuable information. We look forward to connecting with you again and start one more session if possible. So thank you all for this time, for your time, and we end it over here now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Animesh. Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Arvind.
And most important,
all the audience who joined.
Yes, thanks.
Thanks to everyone that joined, and thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.